scrappy people, Traci Reed here today, coming at you with something a little bit different. I am going to be making a paper bag album using my Fall Fever collection for Echo Park. I'm using, for papers, the 6x6 mega pad because I didn't want to bust into the 12x12 paper pad for a mini album. So what I'm going to be doing is making a paper bag mini album, and this is totally inspired by Lyric Glover Crafts, and I will link her video in the description box below. She has a great tutorial on how to do this. I'm just going to walk you through it quickly and then we'll get to the decorating part. So I have already created a bunch of pages for my album. We're going to be creating the last page, like the back cover, together, and you can see the way that this comes together. There is a pocket here, a pocket at the top, and then a full page for a photo right here. And I am using the regular size, just lunch paper bags. And if you're worried about acidity, there is a spray that you can get that will take the acidity out of these and make them acid free. I just went with the paper bags because it's what I had on hand and I just was inspired in the moment, so I just went with it. So what we're gonna need is, I'm using 7 paper bags. You can do with any amount you want, but I'm using 7. And what we're gonna do is we are going to fold this up. I'm not gonna trim it down yet. I'm using just the regular paper bag, and we're gonna fold up this flap at the bottom here. And then we are going to use liquid glue and adhere along the sides to make this pocket. Now we're not gonna do it yet. We need 3 different pieces of paper per album page, one for here, one for here, and one for the back. So if you're using a regular paper bag album like I am, you're gonna want a 5" by 6" for the back, and then you're gonna want 3" by 5" and 3¼ by 5". So everything's 5 inches wide, and you just have 3 different sizes. So I'm actually not going to use this one because I already have one cut down, but you will have a little bit of a flap here on the top once you adhere your large piece of paper down. I've already trimmed mine down, but it's just like 1/4 inch or so, maybe a little bit more, but you'll just want to trim that off the top. And the reason that I'm doing it that way is so that I could use a 6x6 paper pad, and I wouldn't have to, like, if I used a larger paper pad, it would go all the way up to the top of the paper bag. But since I'm using a 6x6 paper pad and I didn't want to go any bigger, the paper bag itself had to be trimmed down. So this is my album cover, and it is this beautiful plaid, and so I actually want the back side of the album to be that plaid as well. So the way that this album works is it opens up, and every spread is one of these. So you got the pockets and a full page on every spread, but the last spread you're gonna want 2 pockets, and so that the background can be on the back side. Or the other option is to cover this whole thing and just eliminate the pocket altogether, which I think is what I'm going to end up doing, because I don't really want, I have this cut so that I have like matching pockets, but I think that'll be too many pockets for me. It's just 2 different options. I don't think I want like 2 pockets facing each other. So what I'm going to do instead is I'll just take one of my papers and I'll just cover up the whole thing. But this one's going to go on the back because I want the back cover to match the front cover. So let's do that one first. And then I will pick out a paper for the front to match these beautiful sunflowers. I think I'm going to trim this off below the fold. Like, I think I'm just gonna, because it has to remain a pocket, but I don't want all this extra flap. So I think what I'm gonna do is trim it off and glue it, so I just have a tiny little bit of bulk at the bottom instead. So I will just take my ATG, and that will create or leave the pocket at the bottom so I don't have to worry about it. but also get rid of all that extra bulk. Again, you could just make yours a pocket, a dueling set of pockets at the end. I just don't want that, so I'm changing this. So now I need a piece of paper that will match this. So let's go through the paper pad and see what I have left. Okay, so I've used a ruler. Now it's time to punch. So I've used a ruler and marked 3 inches, 5 inches, and 1 inch, and in just a slightly so that I can get my hole punch through here. I'm just gonna hand hole punch this first one, and then I will use it as a guide for the rest of them. So I'm gonna start with the middle hole. It's gotta be far enough in that it will support the album and not rip, but not so far in that it really messes with the vibe and the, you know, the scrapbooking of the album. And I want them to be as even as possible, but I am just eyeballing it because I fly by the seat of my pants. Looks pretty good to me. So now I can use this one as a guide for the rest of them. All right, now that we've got all of our holes punched, we can put them on jump rings so that we don't lose the order, and we can start decorating. These are large jump rings. These are like 2 inches. I would go with something smaller. I only have like 1 inch and 2 inch instead of 1.5 inch. But since I'm a bulky scrapbooker, this might actually work out pretty well. But if you have something smaller, you might want to go with something smaller. All right. Let me see if I can fit the smaller ones on here just for the sake of this video. All right, these fit better. So now we can start decorating. Now I don't like to decorate my mini albums too far in advance. I really like to have the option to do what I want in the future. So I'm not gonna do too much here. Like, I'm not gonna be decorating the pages. I'm just gonna be slipping some things into the pockets and creating some extra pages here. I think I'm gonna use this for my gratitude album this year. So I wanna make sure that there's 30 places to journal or to have things. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go switch to the voiceover so I don't have to think and talk at the same time anymore. All right, so now that the album is all together, the base of it, I know that I need things for inside the pockets, like the main paper bag pockets, and also inside the pocket that I created in each page of the album. So I am going to cut this down into a tag. I decided to go with the solid papers in the paper pad and cut them down into a tag. But since they are exactly 6 inches tall, just like the paper bag, they can't, I mean, they can go into the paper bag pocket, but I felt like they would be more effective in the front pocket. So I'm going to use the same technique I always use to cut this into a tag. And then I'm going to use it as a template to cut tags out of every single other solid paper in the paper pad. So I'm going to mark right here, just because when the tag is a little bit bigger, sometimes I have a hard time centering the hole. So I wanted to make sure that I got that nicely centered. Now I've got one for each color. They are double-sided, so later on I can choose to change the color of the tag or flip it over or whatever. But I'm just going through and putting these tags in, trying to make sure that there's a good color balance between all of the pages, and like this one I didn't put an orange tag in, this one I didn't put a yellow tag in, etc. So I decide that I'm not going to put anything in the actual paper bag pockets to begin with, because I know that I'm going to create little mini layouts for each of those paper bag pockets, and so I felt like it would just be better served if I did it later on down the line. So instead I'm going to take the scraps that I have from the paper pad, and I'm going to create little belly bands on each of these pages, just like in the initial video, or the video that I was watching to be inspired by from Lyric Lover Crafts. She created belly bands, and then I'm going to use little 2x2 squares from the paper pad to sort of use those as the quote-unquote buckles on the paper pad or on the pockets. So I'm just going through trying to decide which pages or which papers will be best, and what I end up deciding is that I want to use a 1-inch strip using the paper that I used in the background of the pocket. So obviously the red flannel, this one looks so lumberjacky to me. The red plaid for that one. This one is going to have the foods for the belly band. I thought that that was good for repetition and cohesion for the layout. And now I'm going to find the 2x2s, and I'm going to cut them all up, and then I'm going to use one for the buckle on every page. I'm not going to use the journaling card. I think I'm going to have one left over in the end. So looking at this as I'm going through and placing all of these 2x2s, I realized two things. One, I don't love the last spread of this album. We'll come across it in just a second. It is the sunflowers paired with the food paper, and I just don't think it matches. And then I realized that I don't have enough pages for the album either. I only have enough for 25 pockets, 20 something, and I need another one. So I end up adding another paper bag page to this spread, or to this album, to break those two back pages up and also have enough pages in my album. That gives me a base of 1, 2, 3, 4 per spread. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. So that's close enough for me that I'll make it work when I'm creating the album. So let's finish the cover and call it good. Who would have thought that doing the cover would have been the most pain in the butt part of this process? But I just could not decide on something that I was happy with. I went with this So Very Grateful for Today. I thought that that was perfect, or So Very Grateful Today, because I thought it was perfect for the sentiment of the album. Obviously, it's a gratitude Thankful 30 album. And I'm going to go with this this frame to sort of ground the front cover. Now, I need a background for this frame, and I am such a goober. I cut it like 1/8 of an inch too short because I went ahead and freehanded it, and so of course it was just a little bit too short, a little bit not wide enough. But that's okay. I'm going to make it work. You're not even going to really be able to tell once I'm done decorating, but I do end up putting this down crooked. And so I'm going to end up having to pull it all back up in a minute anyway. Look at me going, oh no, is the other one bigger? No, it's not. It's not bigger. Lovely. So I'm going to stick this down in the middle, and I decided to put it on this blue solid paper as a banner. So I'm just going to freehand it and notch each side into a fishtail banner. Getting pretty good at eyeballing distances and making sure that everything is even around the edges, except for when it comes to fishtails. They're always off. They're always not centered vertically. That's okay. It's part of the imperfection of the process that makes it fun. So let's get this last one down. Maybe. You can see me struggling to make it at least a little bit centered. So that's going to span that paper and that frame, which is going to make it a little less noticeable. You can see it's very unnoticeable to begin with. You really, unless you're looking very close, can't tell that it's not quite wide enough, but that blue banner distracts you and makes it a little bit easier, or it makes it a little bit more hidden. You can see everything is crooked, so I'm going to pull everything up in just a minute and fix it. I'm going, oh no, wait. So here it comes. I'm just gonna fast forward through that part because it took me forever to get it down correctly. There we go. And now I need to add the year. I try to do a gratitude album every year. There's 3 projects that I love doing every year: October daily, gratitude, and December daily. I try to do one every year. Last year I just could not make myself do a December daily after doing October daily and gratitude album. It just didn't work, but I can always go back and do it. I decided I wanted to add a few half doilies just for interest on some of these pages. I felt like this brown on the brown paper was just a little bit boring, so I decided to just preemptively add a little half doily. And then I felt like the other page that I added doily to was just a little bit too busy. You can see me trimming off the edge here. The pattern was just a little bit too busy, I thought, for the base of a layout, so I decided to go ahead. I'm actually going to do it on the leaves. I decided to go ahead and add it as well, but I'm going to add it to the inside, so I have to open everything up. And those are just, I don't, like I said in the beginning, I don't like putting together mini albums very much beforehand. I really like to just give myself a base and like a template to work with, and then when it's time to actually scrapbook, that's when I like to make every page my own, because I feel like if I do it all in advance, and this is with December Daily too, if I do it all in advance, I really just don't have a lot of impetus to complete the album. That's just the way that my brain works, because it's already done, and plopping photos and journaling just doesn't really make me happy. So I am just going to put down a couple of things, and then I'm going to add string twine to each of these tags just because I felt like it was fun and it will be cute in the photos if I already have the string. So that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to add it to each and every tag, and then I'm going to call it good. I'm going to switch back over to the live voiceover and flip through this album with you. Alright, so here is the finished product. We can see the cover, and then each individual page is a nice base for me to build upon throughout the month of November, with pockets throughout. So I can put one facing, like a layout facing this way, layout facing this way, and then flip it over, and I can have layout facing this way. That's how I can get 2 separate layouts in each of these top pockets. I have color coordinated everything so that they work well across the page. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about going in order when I scrapbook, because I'll just match whatever I'm scrapbooking to whatever page goes well. And that is it for this video. So if you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. Don't forget, there is a link to the original video that I was inspired by in the description box below. And I will see you next time. Thank you.